right, everybody. Welcome. I'm going to remain off camera just for the beginning, for the attunement, but we're going to go right into a little process, drop into our bodies. So wherever you are, just let your shoulders kind of drop. Find the perfect spot position that feels right for you in this moment. And just allow your eyes to just gently close. Some deep breaths through your nose on your own here. So hearing the drumming, allowing the drumming to anchor you, your breath to anchor you into this moment. Today is all about that shame, shadow, and the alchemy of it. And so right now, I'd like for you to just welcome any of those emotions, whatever is kind of bubbling right now, to just be here. Could be feelings of resistance, feelings of excitement, feelings of any emotion, any feeling whatsoever. Just just open your arms and your heart and just allow them to be present as you just continue to breathe deeply. Try not to push it away. Whatever's here, fear, anger, whatever the feeling, the emotion that's bubbling up. And you might not be feeling anything at this moment. That's okay too. Trust your inner being today. Trust your inner world to show you in your own unique way what it needs to show you, what needs to be present, what needs to be seen, what needs to be loved. And with that, I want you to imagine just over to the side here, there's a window that's open, and you're just gonna breathe out any expectation of what today is supposed to be for you. Breathing in full faith, trust in your inner world. And you simply breathe out and exhale any of the expectations that you may have had consciously or unconsciously. Good. And then we move to the drumming. There's something so grounding about the drum. And as you connect to the beat, to the rhythm, allow that beat and rhythm to anchor you down into the earth. Allow this sound to open that connection to the planet beneath you. Connection to the root chakra down to the core of the planet. Be roots from the bottoms of your feet. But just follow the beat of the drum as it connects you, as it anchors you, as it grounds you to the supportive, beautiful, loving energy of our planet. Every beat of the drum brings you into harmony, into rhythm with the planet's rhythm. Let's bring awareness now to the body. And you can let your conscious mind drift as far away as it needs to drift right now. Let your thoughts just be, let them out, let them in and let them out. And let's just bring awareness to the physical vessel, to the feet first. Just noticing how they feel, where they are. Fully aware of your toes. Maybe moving awareness into every toe one by one. Aware of the balls of your feet and the heels. Aware of the top of your foot now and your other foot. Bring awareness up into the ankles as it kind of circles around the front, the back, the sides. Awareness of your shins and calves. The back of your knees. Your kneecaps, the tendons. Not looking for a specific feeling or making anything happen. Awareness is enough here. Aware of your thighs, the hamstrings, the quad muscles now, just being aware and noticing how they feel. To your hips and pelvis now. Up into the belly. Moving up into your chest. Wrapping around the top of your shoulders, the upper part of your back. And just spreading that awareness down your entire back now. Awareness moves now down the sides of your neck as it moves down from the sides of your neck over your shoulders. Noticing your biceps, triceps. The inside of your elbow. The angle of your elbows. Wrists, and now into your hands. Again, just noticing how your hands feel, noticing the energy moving through them. Whether they feel heavy, light, tingly. Awareness now moves into your forehead, those tiny muscles around in your forehead and your brow. Your cheeks, your lips, your jaw. Just aware of your entire body. If you could just be aware of the entire vessel as a whole. And now we're going to use the sound, we're going to use the music a little more here as we tune into the drumming and to the rhythm. allow that to guide this beautiful wave of calmness that starts at the crown of your head, following the rhythm as it shakes down, moves down your entire body. You ride this rhythm, this beat of the drum, as it brings a wave of deep rest, deep calmness into your muscles, into your nervous system, into your cells. Notice what you notice. Notice where it moves, where you feel it. Allowing the tension to melt away, just riding that wave, that rhythm of calmness as it moves deeply into your body. This calmness opens up your inner world, more access, that deep knowing that each and every one of us has. It might also ignite a remembering of why you're here. A reminder that you're supposed to be here at this time, in this body, not just here today, but at this very important time in humanity, in history. And with this inner vision now, I'd like for you to create a space of receiving in your imagination, creating your unique space, your unique inner temple, you to receive what you're meant to receive today. It could be a pyramid of light, a place in the woods. There are no limitations here. Trust your inner guidance as you create your perfect space, your inner sanctuary, your inner temple. Have fun with it. See it, and even if you can't see it, imagine it, feel it. Whatever senses are more awake right now, trust it. But know that this is a safe space for you to explore. A safe space for you to allow. We often enter this journey of growth or healing with such seriousness. Seems to be, we often make it very heavy. But what if it was more lighthearted? What if we could just be curious? Like a child playing, exploring our inner world a little deeper with curiosity, with love. And so in your inner temple here, I'd like for you to welcome in with curiosity some of your deepest fears. Allow some of these deepest fears, your deepest fears, to just present themselves. Knowing that you don't need to share any of this with anyone. This is your space, your place of receiving. And again, as you allow these fears to surface in your own unique way, allow yourself to just be present with the emotion, with everything you're feeling in the body, without judgment. Looking at it with curiosity of a child. Just allowing these energies, these fears, the doubt, allow it to just be present. As you look at these, as you kind of investigate these, stay present with these. Just taking some deep breaths with them as you invite them a little closer. Leaning into your faith and trust that you are safe to explore. Staying there, and Sarah, when you're ready, you can share that poem with us all.
Our Deepest Fear by Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel unsure around you. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. As we let our own light shine, we consciously give other people permission to do the same. As we liberate from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. You're gonna grab your journal, and you're gonna give a little bit of space at the top of the page to write a sentence above what it is that you're longing to manifest and create, what your deepest desires are for yourself in life. So the example I have is, I am longing for a weekly income of $10,000, a deep connection with my inner guidance, and a clarity that allows me to feel fully my truth. A partnership with my lover that also includes a deep devotion and hot, passionate sex. Make it yours, but don't hold back. Encompass in a sentence all elements of your desire, what you're deeply longing to feel.
This is going to challenge you because it's going to bring up some of that shame that's associated with some of those desires, but this is where you really push yourselves to be as authentic as possible in this moment. So don't, like Sarah said, don't hold back here. Even if your pen shakes.
Make it uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Make it wiggly. If it doesn't make you want to vomit, it's not enough.
Well, I hope I don't vomit, but
you got about 1 more minute. Nobody's going to see this. Nobody needs to see this. So this can be your own private, deep longing. Okay. Now, right above it, I hate and resent having. And then you're going to write below it, because I have deep fear that I ...
Tara, do you want to maybe repeat both of those prompts? First one, then the second one, the one you just said.
Yeah. So above it, you're going to write, I hate and resent having. And then below it, you're going to write, because I have deep fear that I ... And then you're going to read it aloud to yourself. I hate and resent having a weekly income of $10,000, a deep connection with my inner guidance and clarity, as well as a deeply connected, fulfilling partnership with plenty of hot, passionate sex. Because I have deep fear that I... And then you're going to write down 20 fears that show up when you read that sentence aloud. It helps to have the declarative manifestation of saying it, the vibration of it coming out of your body, but keep going. So likely they'll start out with something subtle, and maybe you need to repeat yourself, but keep writing the fear that shows up. Because I have deep fear that I might not spend the money correctly. Because I have deep fear that I might lose my boundaries in relationship. Because I have deep fear that I might not have enough time for my family and lose track of where my priorities are. Because I have deep fear that I will mismanage the funds. Because I have deep fear, just keep going. Because I have deep fear that I'll lose connection with my family or friends. Because I have deep fear that I'll want to move away from the home that I'm living in. Because I have deep fear that I am not worthy of that much love and abundance. All of them. Just keep going through.
And I know this kind of goes without saying, but that's obviously for your list. Sarah's just giving an example of hers. So make sure it doesn't have to be what she said, but what your desires were. Yeah, push yourself here. Everything that comes up, just write it down. Point form, boom, boom, boom. Write them all. There's a few people that just jumped on, so if you just joined us, we're in the middle of a little process here, journaling. So hang tight, we'll just jump right into the rest once we're done here.
Okay. Just inviting any last fears that are also longing to come forward. Maybe they feel a little too big. Maybe they don't feel big enough. Just pop them on there anyway.
In fact, there might even be some you're scared to even admit. There's fear around the fear of the fear of the fear of the fear. I've experienced that. I've had times where it's like, okay, I know it's there, but I don't want to even explore what that might look like to explore or to even feel. So,
because I have deep fear that I can't handle my feelings of fear.
Yeah. And also, I'm scared to go back to old patterns because of that fear. And that's another part of it, is how we've coped in the past, how we've been taught to cope, or how we've just allowed ourselves to ease, soothe. There's fear around that as well. Exploring because that depth. Yeah, that depth of fear, that might bring up that again, or I might go into that space again. And so there's fear of you not being solid enough, or you falling off.
Because I have deep fear, if I'm not a victim, then I won't be able to get attention.
Talk about that. Yeah, it's not an easy one. There's secondary gain to a lot of our fears. There's this especially, well, not especially, depending on our story in our childhood, when were we loved? Were we only loved when we were sick? Were we only loved when something bad was happening? Were we only supported when that happened?
Yeah, every one of these fears is precious and innocent and worthy of love and attention. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Joey. Oh, your audio went out. Is that me or you?
No, that's me. I just shut the music off in the background there.
Aha.
So it's just
welcome, everyone. So lovely to spend this beautiful Saturday morning with you. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for following the nudge. It takes a lot of valor to show up for Shame Shadow Alchemy.
It's Saturday morning. Let's dive into the deepest, darkest stuff.
It truly does. Yeah. And I honor that in each of you. Thanks for being here. Yeah. Joey, do you want to introduce yourself for anybody that's new, or who are you today would be?
Who am I today? Oh gosh. My name is Joey, and I'm a hypnotherapist and guide, and I don't know about the labels anymore. They all seem to be falling apart and being reorganized, and I'm evolving into so much more. So I guess it's funny because we talk about masterclass, and I think Sarah and I have been a master of diving into our deepest shit lately, the last year or so. So, master isn't this place of, hey, we got it all figured out. But what I've noticed for myself is I'm so dedicated to my evolution. I'm not perfect. I'm not anywhere near anything. Like, I'm not here versus anybody, but I'm so dedicated to the process of becoming who I know I can be, that I'm just so excited to share this part and share the pieces that I've gained along the way. And I think that's, Sarah, I think you can, probably resonate with that. It's just, we're just showing you pieces that have helped us get closer to home. Um, my joy is the subconscious and the unconscious realm. That's what I love to guide people in, and that's what I bring to Tribe, and that's what I'm try to bring into um, every class, every meeting, every bit that we get together is give someone a space to have an experience, to have something from within them be shown and to be felt. So, yeah, a little bit about myself. I've been on this journey for a while, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. So, let's go and let's have some fun with it and try to. And like what I said earlier, is we take this so seriously, and myself included at times, where I'm like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta dive deeper. And a lot of that gets stuck into a lot of not enough energy again. I'm not healing enough. I'm not doing enough. But Sarah and I had a very clear intention with going into creating Tribe was like, what if it's easy? What if it's fun? What if it's more lighthearted? Yeah, there's going to be some pain. There's going to be some emotion. But what if it's not so goddamn heavy all the time? So that's what we try to bring. And yeah, I'm just happy that you're all here on this Saturday, hanging out on the weekend with us. And yeah, means a lot. Sarah, to you.
Yeah, nice. Thanks. Yeah, so Joey and I collaborate on a weekly membership called Tribe Awakening. So nice to see some of the Tribe Awakening members here. Thanks. We love having you around, and we might call on you to talk in a little while if you're up to it. But yeah, a bit about myself. So I had a really colorful childhood of two homes, one of them wildly strict and quite scary with rules, and the other one, no boundaries and all sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I have a tremendous amount of empowerment energy within me to claim all of the aspects of the human awakening, inclusive of the pain, of which I have found many, many layers, and they keep revealing themselves to me. It drew me into becoming a massage therapist for quite a while. I was always drawn to human anatomy, in particular on a systemic level. So the nervous system, the endocrine system, which is our hormone system, and our magnetic communication system. And yeah, spent a lot of time training in the body and all of the different layers of advanced anatomy around the body. And then I just didn't feel like it gave me an answer to the soul elements. And so I sought that in yoga and a variety of yoga disciplines. In my first marriage, ran a retreat center together, and I was able to work with multiple trainers from all over the world over a 12-year period, as well as I owned a multidisciplinary clinic with over 30 practitioners that were working for me. And I had a new baby, and I had a breakdown. I had everything that I'd ever worked for and thought that I wanted, and I was absolutely empty inside. And that was perfectly timed with my husband getting a brain injury and COVID starting. So there's these other layers of insult to injury that just seemed like life had it out for me. And it wasn't until I discovered the gene keys, which is a transformational path to awakening, as described by Richard Rudd, who's a former student of human design and had this awakening experience that essentially maps out that we all have a unique awakening imprint. And that really changed everything for me. And it really allowed me to turn towards some of my elements of myself that I wasn't allowing myself to claim. This poem by Marianne Williamson was something that I've had with me nearby, yeah, for a while, of like, yeah, I'm more afraid of my light than my darkness. But I now make a space, because of this teaching from the Gene Keys, to move towards the darkness. And so I had been teaching Gene Keys and working in Gene Keys for about 3 years, and I decided I needed to work with a hypnotherapist. I was like calling in this, like, I want to find a hypnotherapist that I can collaborate with on these teachings, because I have my zone of expertise, but that's something that I just was so curious about, is like understanding how to navigate these other realms. I had been working in medicine work around shamanism, mountain shamanism, not jungle shamanism, and finding that I got lost in those spaces. Like, the shame overwhelmed me and I couldn't navigate, but I had this great capacity with it. And so, like, days later, Joey came into my life with this big smile and he's just like, hey, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have been waiting for you to come. And he's become one of my closest friends and allies. And it's been such a sweet experience to be collaborating on Tribe Awakening, where we both we challenge each other to go deeper because we both care so much about coming from this space of authenticity of like, if we're going to lead people into these spaces and we're going to actually, find this work for ourselves where we're claiming ourselves, then we need to do it first. We need to be the ones that get messy in it. And so that's some of the elements that we bring. And my background in working with people had been that I worked with people in membership containers. It was massage initially, but it gravitated to like coaching and membership containers, because what I find is when we start mucking around in this stuff, the defense strategy or the strategy that is invested in you staying the same, it's gonna come out. And if you haven't made a commitment to it over a period of time, you're either gonna burn yourself out or sabotage your path because you're trying to keep yourself safe. It's like it's the most sweet and innocent thing. But what I've learned is there's these beautiful elements of this world that we live in. One of them is a masculine element, and the masculine element for illumination requires commitment, structure, and a capacity to lean in to something holding you, a container that's holding you in transformation. When we have babies in the world, most people know I want somebody to facilitate that with me so that as I'm giving birth to another human being, someone's there to say, just, you're almost there. Let me dab your brow and keep going. You're amazing. You can do this. And we need that when we're rebirthing ourselves also. And having so many patterns around trauma in my childhood, the hardest thing for me is to ask for help when I'm suffering. The hardest thing for me to think to do is to say, can you hold my hand or give me a hug or allow me the space to be raging in my shame right now? Because that's what's true for me. And so building this container with Tribe Awakening has been it's been as much for me as it is for everybody else, because I needed this container. I needed people that were going to come and bear witness to these shifts and changes and contribute to the medicine of the world as we're awakening, because there's an old essence in us that's alive. And a lot of that, like that stored survival trauma that's showing up, it also has beautiful elements of like the tribe and the fire and the rattle and the drum. They're all part of that primitive brain, but we live in our head so much that what we do primarily is like keep bringing ourselves back down into the body, keep guiding everyone to come down into the body, and then dropping in questions in that space that allow you to illuminate your process for awakening. Because my path and Joey's path and each of your paths is your path. And the goal is to give you your empowerment, not what makes sense for me. So maybe you don't want a weekly income of $10,000 and a connection with a hot lover and all of those things. All of that's perfect for you. But when I can claim it and be with it for myself and then really become like self-honest, it's hard to get this honest with ourselves. But when we keep calling one another out, it starts to happen. And the frequency of protection and safety around that creates an environment where healing happens. We don't need to chase healing. Healing happens when we can show up for each other in the amazing moments and to celebrate them, but in no different way, the moments where we feel completely lost and disconnected and not worthy. So yeah, that's who I am.
It's interesting because most of us are forced to go into a world and a society that we don't fit into or resonate with anymore. But that's normal for us. So we normalize the chaos. It's normal for us to pretend to be someone else in this job. It's normal for us to eat the crap food because it's right there. It's normal for us to not speak our truth because it keeps us, safe and no one's going to laugh at us. But then when we do create these communities, whether it's online or, in your own community, it forces us to, well, not forces us, it allows us to sink into our hearts a little deeper and allows us to go, okay, I don't have to be this. I don't have to be that. I can actually try to go a little deeper and allow those parts, like these parts to be shown, to be heard, to be felt. And that's what I find with the community. It's not, like I think I realize, like, I downplay community even. Like, I think it's great, but you never see what's actually going to come of it. The energy that starts to move within it. Um, someone becoming a little more vulnerable, giving a nudge to someone else to speak up. We saw it last week. I think in the biggest sense for our tribe was everybody just really spoke up and was able to share some stuff. And it was like, wow. But it's going to take some time to recalibrate, because I recognize, for me, chaos was normal. And so when I found peace in my nervous system, even, or just in my life, and I had some beauty and things are flowing, I was like, this is amazing. But I want a little bit more spice, because I like more spice, because this is what I've had. And so I'd kind of go mess it up. I find a way to kind of throw a wrench into things, and I still am battling some of that. It's a lot better, but some of us have to relearn and try to not try. I think we're just relearning on what peace is. What is actual peace?
Well, put your hand up if you've witnessed yourself sabotage with patterns. Like, who hasn't sabotaged themselves with patterns of how they used to be, what they know to be safe? That's all it is. My nervous system has a set point. We have a havingness set point. And if we go above it, the sabotaging behavior that's like, no, that's too much, like, change. Yeah. And it's like, no, I'm going to pick a fight with my partner. I'm going to, blow my budget on something because I'm longing to connect with somebody on a layer of truth, but I don't feel like I'm safe to do that. So I'm going to connect with shopping on a layer of truth. Like, they're just behaviors that show up when it doesn't feel safe to feel that next layer. And so this is a big part of this work, is nurturing that to be okay, nurturing that it's all right to meet yourself consistently in the process of recognizing, oh, there's some big agitation here, and I'm longing to move towards blank. And these processes, like, this one we just did, the idea is that you do the same process with whatever your longing is tomorrow, or later today. When you find a desire and it bubbles up from the body, like, I just want to acknowledge that was such a beautiful process that you led, Joey. I was having a hard time not dropping myself too much into theta. I was like, wow, I was so beautifully the way you led that. And when we can drop into that space, the desires are there, right? Like, that's the desire body. It speaks. This is what somatic work is that the body up, there's a consciousness here that is not the same language as the top down. So me going to learn everything about the body, learn everything about yoga, learn the whole process of how to fix things, that's top down. I was trying to outsmart my inner guidance system, and it can't go to the subconscious places. But when we can make them visible, that's what manifestation is. Make visible is what the definition of it means. And you make it visible to yourself. Because I have deep fear that it stops having the charge. You're essentially acknowledging the thing that's showing up in the behavior instead. So instead of it showing up to show you in the sabotaging behavior, that process alone, you don't even need to come to tribe. Like, you can if you want to, and you want an enriching experience of doing this more often, but you do that process over and over again for 10 days, your life will change vastly. It is that powerful to work with these energies. So
this is why it's so important to drop in and to find your own practice. Like I said, it has nothing to do with tribe. It's exploring, like, what works for you to kind of go to find that space of stillness, because there's a few things that happen there. It's the doorway to the soul. The gateway to the soul is through the unconscious, the subconscious. But there's also other doors. You're going to meet the parts that don't align with the soul. So there's all these, it's this whole inner world where you're going to have who I'm not, who I've been playing. There's going to be moments of clarity. There's going to be moments of the higher self or the soul giving you information. But until you can quiet the mind and quiet the noise, it's only then where you're going to receive that deeper guidance on what you need and what needs or what's bubbling up. It's the easiest hack in the world. It's free. It's for you to discover what your inner world is and how to access it. And everyone is very unique. Some people it's through walking in nature. Some people it's in deep meditation. Some people it's breath work. But it's all accessing the
People
same
have
things.
sex.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is. We each have whatever it is that you're in, what's taboo, like follow what's taboo to you. There's some juiciness in what you're not meant to have that you're actually really longing for, but you're afraid to go there because it was like, oh, that's too far for society. Like those are the juicy elements of like that desire nature is the Shakti. It's our creative life force energy. It's like what empowers us to create new things in the world. So can I talk a little bit about gene keys?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so does anybody maybe jump on camera if you're comfortable? I'd love to know if does anybody know what gene keys is? Like, is this a kind of like super new? Yeah, Kristen a little bit. Yeah, you guys maybe heard of it. Okay, briefly, there's a map that outlines three three phases of your awakening process, and we loosely work off of this in tribe. So this is just an example of mine. The activation sequence has to do with how we claim our body, and we claim our auric field is speaking to our physical DNA. And when you start to understand how your auric field has a mission and it's speaking to your DNA, then the next thing that organically becomes the work is to look at all of the wounding that we have in partnership. This is something we're starting next week, is these pathways through how we were imprinted as we incarnated in utero from our epigenetic, patterns that were showing up in our family that we honestly took as souls and went, you know what, I'm going to transform this in my life mission. And there's this like every 7-year cycle, there's like a new part of your mission that drops in. And then these become these patterns relationally that are showing up that are asking you to heal those relational patterns by what's being mirrored to you by your partner. And then the last one, this pearl sequence, the third part of the golden path, is how we resource ourselves to be in relationship with prosperity. So not wealth in the sense of I need to consume and have more and more and more because I have an empty pit within me that is never going to get enough money. It's not the same. Wealth has a weight to it that isn't the same as soul energy. Now you can have a really big soul energy that also has an organic capacity for lots of money, and that's your layer of prosperity. But this idea that lots of money is going to save everything is part of the problem. And when you discover what your unique prosperity is, then you're in flow. And sometimes it's high and sometimes it's less, but that's part of the imprint of the havingness. And it all starts to change because really alive. And it's easy to be in flow with the ups and the downs and the shifts and the changes because you know in your being the value of yourself. So we loosely work off of that throughout Tribe Awakening. And then it's a lot of just like embodying these practices of like, how do I meet my nervous system? How do I regulate through breath work, through attunement, that space of dropping into the guidance system of the body? Existential kink. Yeah, go for
one
it.
thing, Sarah, like, so this is what happened to me also when I jumped into Gene Keys. Rebecca was just saying, I got the book, but I feel a bit lost. Like, what would you tell people who are just kind of diving into that and feel a little bit overwhelmed? Like, what would be the best piece of advice you'd give?
If they're just diving into Gene Keys?
Yeah.
I'd say reach out to me and do a course with me and I'll walk you through it, or we can do a reading, or like, the nice thing about the overwhelm part is you might need to do a bit more of like one-on-one, but the thing is with Tribe Awakening, like we've titrated it out to be that the material's digestible. So like I work with people and they do courses with me, and then they come into Tribe to actually embody the work. So it just depends on where you're at. It's a big shift. I love what Marcus wrote about like being a part of the crazy matrix. It's the map of the matrix. It's like, okay, here's the character I'm playing. If my life isn't lining up with this character I'm playing, I'm the one that's embodying it. I'm the one that's playing this role. So how can I play it full out? How can I be the greatest embodiment of that and claim all of those elements of this character? And so it's kind of like that. It's like getting a map that's like, okay, Joey, you are this character. with these qualities. And when challenge shows up in your life, it's asking and inviting you to meet it with this. But you know what it's going to show up as? It's going to show up in this prickly suit, in this, whatever. And it'll feel like whatever it feels like in your body. You get to understand that. And then you start to kind of learn that language. It's like learning the metaphysical soul language and guidance system. And so it's brilliant that they were able to figure it out. It's
freaky how accurate.
It's astrology combined with like the Kabbalah, combined with the Vedic chakra system, and the endocrine system is part of the Vedic chakra system, combined with like quantum physics, and what I'm missing another part. Oh, the I Ching. The I Ching is a big part of it. It's like this ancient Taoist philosophy that there's a spectrum of consciousness, and we're always somewhere within the spectrum of consciousness. But for the most part, we're in the unconscious part, thinking we're in the conscious part, wondering why we keep making these same mistakes. And so that it allows you to kind of go like, okay, here's my pattern. Oh yeah, that's totally my pattern, And then am I choosing it? Becomes like you bring your conscious life force to it. And if I'm fully choosing to play in the matrix, the rules start to change.
Oh yeah. And there's nothing more maddening than when you see your pattern and know your pattern well and still choose it. There's something so maddening when you choose your pattern and you know it, but that's part of it. And it brings me back to like, when we learn a lot about, the laws of attraction, the laws of the universe, and our thoughts, and how powerful our thoughts are. Okay, our conscious thoughts are powerful, but those aren't the ones you need to explore.
Yeah,
it's the unconscious thoughts that you need to explore.
Yeah,
that's why a daily practice of silencing everything is so absolutely huge, because you get to start to be aware of like those slips, those little words you use, those thoughts that come up when you're stuck in this or that. That's the power right there. And so when you're aware, you get to be aware of what you haven't been aware of for so long. But the Gene Keys has been, like I told you last week, I said I never thought I'd be so into it, but as I've started to dive a little deeper, it's a map for you.
Yeah, Rebecca, just to your comment, you got the book, but you feel a bit lost. Make sure you read the first 7 chapters. It goes through the whole philosophy and principle, but essentially, you got a map. Great, I've got a map. What do I do with this map? And there's a process, and this is something that we have as part of our teaching every week in Tribe Awakening. This process is contemplation. So it's like being honest with what is showing up and pausing long enough to turn towards it. If you can't come to a true honesty of what it is that you're deeply longing for or what you're creating, then you can't transform it. And it's going to just keep showing up. That's really all a pattern is it's just showing up to show you how to transform it. We turn towards it. And then there's this process that we teach called it's path of contemplation. And it's just sort of like a bridge part of the working with the subconscious. Contemplate actually is such a beautiful word, because con, the prefix of con, means with, and template is actually temple. So it means with temple. My body is my temple. I'm going to be with it, and I'm going to acknowledge what's showing up in my physical expression. And it's this simple process: allow, accept, embrace. And then what you move towards is this merging that starts to happen. So when you can fully allow, I have deep shame about my longing for blank. When you can allow it, it starts to be something that isn't so much your enemy. You can befriend it just a little bit. You can create a little bit of a gentle space to nurture, like, yeah, that's here. And maybe it's not so evil. Maybe I'm not the worst person in the world for having that desire. And then the acceptance starts to happen just organically. It's like, okay, I do, and shame, the higher expression of shame is humor. So shame is, when it's hiding, terribly, terribly painful. But if you can go and fall in a hole and then stand up and be like, hey, everybody, there's a hole here. Don't fall in it. That's the purpose of shame. And then people are like, oh my God, thanks for falling in the hole. Oh my goodness, you must feel so ridiculous. I do feel ridiculous. That was really embarrassing. I totally fell down in front of all of you. And that transforms shame. So a higher expression of the same thing is transformation. And like that's magic. That's actually what magic is to take a base metal and turn it into gold. Take a heavy laden human wounding. That is just what it is. Lead isn't bad for being lead. We're not bad for having wounding. But if you can take that and then play with it a bit, it turns into your greatest gifting. And so that's the process, is like every shadow contains your gift. You don't live in the shadow, but when you allow it to be there and you start to claim it, it's got this higher message for us. And we are meant to be abundantly resourced. We're meant to have hot sex. We're meant to feel deep intimacy with others. And that's a really revolutionary, valorous thing to turn towards.
The humor part is one of the most, I think, underutilized tools we have, is the lightheartedness of that. And when you catch yourself in an old, let's just use a thought pattern. And when you see an unconscious thought come up about your worth, your value, I'm not enough, right then and there, instead of going, oh, fuck, that's still there, or geez, that's stupid, I have that, laugh at you. Go, oh my gosh, how silly is this old program? If I just bring love and go, oh, how cool is it that I was aware of this old, outdated loop, old, outdated thought? And when you laugh, not laugh at yourself, but with yourself, you'll start to feel like the horsepower gets taken away from the engine. It gets smaller and smaller every time. Humor, lightheartedness, just love about it is just so powerful. Because how many times you're having a day, you're just kind of there, and all of a sudden you catch yourself in a thought of going, I'm not good at this, or this is stupid, or I'm messing this up, and you just go, all of a sudden you're conscious of it, so it no longer has power, and you laugh at the silliness of it all because you know it's not who you are, truth. That just starts, again, takes more and more charge away from the thought.
Yeah.
But it's your judgment of the thought that gives it fuel,
Yeah. So that's that part of like the identity that is perfect, that doesn't make mistakes, that isn't allowed to have feelings, that doesn't have body odors, that never has low energy or, anger or anything, whatever that identity of like the perfect idealized self that you have, that's what keeps me in my seriousness. That's what, like, when I can't alchemize something, it's because I'm not giving myself permission to make a mistake ever, 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 ever. And then it stays and I just keep falling down in the same fucking hole.